Mi mano o no?
Rafa and Alex.
Yes.
Alex,
and Alex.
Rafa,
How do you
Alex.
spell your last name? Abaurrea?
You pronounced it perfectly. That just made me blush. Normally it takes people till the 10th try to get it. But yeah, Abaurrea. Abaurrea.
And where's that from?
Basque, actually. Basco.
Have you been to Spain?
I have not, but as soon as I go, I want to go straight to the Basque country.
Sure, because Abaurrea, like, you need a Spanish accent, a Mexican accent, to that double R, Abaurrea, not all gringos.
Yeah,
do
no,
that.
when I saw your last name, I was like, is this guy, this
Right.
guy doesn't look
Foreigner?
Mexican?
I like just throwing people for a loop, and it's like if I apply for a job, then it really gets
yeah.
tricky because they're like, I don't know if they're going to
Yeah.
call me in for an interview or not. I don't know how that's all going to go. If I ever get up to the north of Spain, though, straight to running with the Bulls. Straight to Pamplona.
Straight to Pamplona.
Straight to running with the Bulls.
Extreme, brother.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the XOLOCAST. Thank you for letting us.
Thanks good to finally be here, man. Good to be
It's
here.
an honor and a pleasure to have you here. For everybody who doesn't know who you are, can you please tell us a little bit about what you do here for Xolos?
I feel like, I could have gone so many different ways with that. Well, we'll center it to why I'm here. The English language radio play-by-play commentator of the Xolos. That's of my many titles and many hats that I wear. That's
why you're here today.
one of my favorites, and the reason why, it's because it's what brought me here. These two dudes reached out to me and said, hey, we got to get you on the podcast, and I said it would be my pleasure. So here we are.
Thank you
so
very
much
much
for coming.
He's like the Mexican Christian Martinoli, the Mexican Perro Bermudez.
Careful.
Perro Bermudez Americano.
Just
Careful. Hey, you called me Christian Martinoli. Now I'm looking for Piojo. Looking over my shoulders.
Don't
Yeah,
wanna
man,
get
come on. We're starting this thing off with a bang here. Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here, brother. We have listened to your broadcasts, and you speak as if you were a super Cholo fan, and sometimes it's more fun and interesting to listen to you guys score the goals and everything and go the play-by-play than to listen to the Mexican ones. So props to you guys. You guys are doing a great job.
Well, yeah, shout out to Tony Alvarez, my broadcast partner, the color commentator on all of those More FM broadcasts. 98.9 here in TJ, up in SD, cross-border radio Sin Fronteras, Mexican radio, More FM. But we're on the air out in Mexicali and Calexico, on the air down in Ensenada. The signal's going to be shooting out all the way to Yuma, Arizona soon. So, I mean, this is a multicultural broadcast. And
what you're doing is actually like one of the first teams that do this, right? Like the team without borders, Xolos, Tijuana, California region. So you guys are doing something new, something that not a lot of teams do. So that is really cool, man.
And I think it's something that you have to acknowledge, that being here on the border, the whole ambiance of the team, the whole ambiance of the stadium is a lot different than if you go to Ciudad de Mexico. We were talking about León.
Right.
It's a different kind of football stadium. It's a different kind of football fan, the Cholo fan. How have you received, or how have you been received by the fans of the Xolos? Because you are giving a broadcast in English of a Mexican league. I mean, that's not the normal way to go about.
But a bunch of Cholo fans speak English.
Exactly.
Half of them.
No, most of them came down from San Diego. They come down to
8,000 on average. This has been about the same average. They've done this poll every year. Out of 27,000 plus here at the stadium, on average every home game, we're talking 8,000 people coming down from San Diego County, and that's grown from day one. And I want to be someone who can help
as much
that.
as the migrants that are coming over here. They're coming from San Diego to watch the Xolos.
But these guys have money, right?
Exactly.
These guys came to pay.
We come down, and it's something, the culture of Xolos, the culture of this being a team that welcomes all. And look, dude, whether it's people in the city from Central America, whether it's people who came from Haiti a few years ago, and I started seeing Haitian people started coming to Xolos games, whether it's people in San Diego who have lived in San Diego forever and are craving top flight soccer, people who want to be a part of anything, whether it's MLS, whether it's Liga MX, whether it's the Liga Ascenso back when people were coming down from San Diego. I know people you talk about the Gringo Xolos, with all due respect, I love you, Marty, but Gringo Xolos, Marty started coming down about 2011 when they got promoted. There's other dudes, there were other, whether you want to call them gringos or just people up in San Diego, there were people coming down across the border. Stories I've heard from when this was a Liga Ascenso stadium.
When they used to play
little
baseball field over on
Yeah,
Cerro
but
Colorado.
the Gringo Cholo was viral because he was talking trash to he was like, screw the Chargers, screw the Padres, all
in for the Xolos. No, I want to go back to something that you guys both touched on though, and that is kind of just the reception from people actually here in Tijuana. Because sometimes I get so caught up in being a part of that, that transfronterizo culture and like we're sin fronteras and bringing San Diego and Tijuana together, that sometimes I think a person in my position can overlook the local culture right here in Tijuana and that microclimate that is the Mictlan and this area of the world that is Tijuana and really centering in on the fans here who don't cross the border, who live in Tijuana, who come to the stadium and who go home in Tijuana. Local. And I think the biggest eye-opening game was back. I came a Copa MX game, I think against Correcaminos, back in like January of 2017. And it was a smaller crowd. It was a rainy, cold January night.
That was your first game?
No. That was the first game a long time before that. But that was the game that opened my eyes to the local culture. I looked around. I was like, hey, there ain't too many San Diegans in attendance tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was no tailgate outside. This was the dedicated local core. And I think that's been something that's been really important, is connecting with those people, connecting with the Tijuanenses has been something that's been really important to me. And having people from the Masacre coming up to me and saying like, hey, we're down with what you do. That's
awesome.
That means a lot, man. That means a lot. I'm not gonna lie. So salute to all y'all who've listened and supported here in Tijuana. I appreciate it.
I don't know how often did you used to come down to Tijuana, but now at least once every 2 weeks you're gonna be here. So how Mexican do you feel right now? how Tijuana do you feel right now?
Tijuanense.
I started coming down here in March of 2016. I actually moved to San Diego with this as one of the main things that brought me to San Diego, actually. And originally from Northern California. So Watsonville, California, my hometown, but lived all over the north of California, all over the Golden State. And basically, on a whim, packed the Volvo wagon and said, we're going to San Diego, and hit the ground running. And it's like what we talked about before we started the recording here, and that is that, Xolos are such a beautiful thing in and of themselves, but they're also, for a lot of people, they're the lens into Liga MX. They're a lens into Latin American football.
Sure. It's the gateway team.
It's the gateway into Latin American football, but specifically with Liga MX. And so I'm grateful for all aspects of that. And yeah, it's coming up on 3 years consistent, and now with the More FM work starting back in July, that's been me coming down here 2-3 days a week. So
Sweet, bro.
I mean, it's Tijuanense to the max, man. I'm feeling welcome. I'm feeling good, and the microclimate that we're in here in TJ, it's good to be a part of it.
Just for the guys listening, just tell us something in Spanish so you can see how good is this guy speaking Spanish, man.
My Spanish is only cuss words, though. You know this.
Háblame algo.
Well, we were talking about you being a good actor.
I'm trying. Nah, mi español es muy imperfecto, pero yo necesito más practicar.
Tu acento muy bueno.
No, acento es muy bueno porque soy un buen actor, sí, nada más. Pero no, la problema para mí es la gente de Tijuana. Toda la gente de Tijuana habla inglés. Toda la gente habla inglés en Tijuana y todo inglés es el igual calidad de mi español. So, todos los taxis, todos los Ubers, toda gente de Estadio Caliente, yo quiero hablar en español para practicar en mi español.
Claro.
Y gente, no, I need to speak in English to practice my English with you. And it just comes out with this Spanglish, mix up at the end. And, but we do what we can. We get by here in Tijuana, Spanglish all the way. But
I'm impressed. Your Spanish is really, really good.
Sí, definitivamente felicidades por tu español. Yo sé que entre más estés aquí, más se te va a pegar, pues ahora sí que el acento tijuanense, que también es muy particular, pero pues con tu español la armas, yo creo que aunque no estuvieras aquí en Tijuana, ¿no?
Bueno, gente en Ciudad de México, yo voy a Ciudad de México en septiembre de 2017 y toda gente en Ciudad de México, uy, ¿tú hablas español que un tijuanense? Que un tijuanense, otras palabras. Otras palabras de no mames,
He's got a bit of a norteño accent.
Es mi español, es español de California, español de Baja, español de Tijuana y es mi voz.
Great, brother. So this guy is here. We had a chance to meet him because we were here at the presentation of the new coach,
Oscar Pareja, the new head coach.
Coming from, he's Colombian. But what did you think of the presentation?
I really liked the press conference. I really liked many of the things that Oscar had to say. I liked one particular quote, actually, from Pareja. Really kind of was one I wanted to almost get on a big bumper sticker of it, and that is, he called it Xolos la protagonista.
Okay.
And he called it Xolos the protagonist of Liga MX, and gets very Shakespearean about it. You could go so many different directions with that, and I think what he meant by that was something along the lines of something that I think we often forget with Xolos, and that is how young this club is.
It's an up-and-comer.
2007.
Definitely.
I mean, 2007.
I know.
2007. 7 years in the top flight, and so much has happened in that time. We've hosted Ronaldinho and Copa Libertadores games. We won Liga MX titles. We've had a promotion in that time. So much has happened that I think we often forget that in the grand scheme of things, this is, if you think of a football club like a person, Xolos are an 11-year-old right now.
Of course.
They're about to celebrate their 12th birthday, and they just brought in one hell of a coach to help celebrate that.
And something we always talk about is that the Xolos' team is really reflected with how the stadium is looking.
Right.
I mean, it's under construction. It's young. it's looking good. Every year it looks
Literally under
better.
construction.
Every year looks better, but I mean, it's coming along. It's a process. It's not a full-grown adult, like you said, and we're not completely finished with this transformation of where Xolos is going to end up, or what role is Xolos going to play in 5 years,
Right.
in 10 years, in 20 years, once this whole place is a mecca for this transnational culture of soccer. Because something of the quotes Oscar Pareja was saying was that in one thing that he's seen with playing with players from the MLS or with European players or Americans or Mexicans,
doesn't matter
Africans,
the race, yeah.
doesn't matter the race, they all feel the same excitement when they win, and they all feel
Right.
the same
Sadness when they
Sadness
lose.
when they lose.
Winning and defeat has no borders.
It's
and
100%
I love-
human. You
Right,
know what I
right,
mean? The competition is more of a human trait more than a cultural trait.
But I think specifically along the lines of what you're talking about in this being, literally under construction around us, and then figuratively in the midst of some very important construction going on right down below right now.
That's right.
And in that press conference just a few minutes ago, it goes back to that quote of being the protagonist. I love that title. I don't want to get carried away. I don't want to be like a bunch of Silicon Valley tech guys. We're going to be the disruptors.
Yeah, the disruptors.
We're going to be the
yeah.
disruptors of Liga MX. But for all intents and purposes, I mean, that's what Xolos kind of have to take on. They got to take on that mindset of, hey, we're not a grande. We're not an equipo grande. We don't have all of the history. We don't have all the stuff that's built into so many of these brands around the country. So we got to be a little different. We got to think a little bit outside the box. And how that evolves is maybe anyone's guess. We don't know quite yet.
I think it's a super reflection of how Tijuana is as well. I mean,
Right.
it's different. It's
Right.
just a
Yes.
mix. And Xolos is different than the other leagues. If you go to the MLS or if you go to Liga MX, it's a different vibe that you feel. It's a different kind of like administration, a different kind of coaches that they try to pull, and 100% the players that they get are not the typical players that any other team you would expect them
Not
to
usually,
to
yeah.
bring.
They usually buy new players
Exactly.
from other countries, not the same old players
Doing
from the
something
same
different.
teams. That's what we like about the Xolos. And a lot of people don't like it because they keep selling him. But I mean, like Nate said, it's a young team. It's 11 years old. What can you expect? I mean, we cannot win all the season, so...
Right, but I think something that you touched on right there is this buy and sell mantra that Xolos have developed that does frustrate a lot of people who spend their hard-earned money to support this team and who
wanna
come
see them
out
win.
and want to see...
right here, baby.
And I think not only wanting to see a winning team, but kind of looking at it going, hey, we preach this whole building from the ground up mentality.
Yeah.
Let's start seeing that manifest itself, and having a coach like Oscar Pareja, because look, this is something that me and Tony talked about on More FM quite a bit. Our colleagues Carlos and Anuar Yeme talk about this ad nauseum
Saludos, Carlos Yemen.
on Cadena Deportiva, and we're not shying away from it. And that is the fact that Xolos for a long time have prided themselves on the academy system, and for the first few years of that academy system, you saw fruits of the labor.
It worked.
Yeah,
It worked.
was super
Oh,
worked.
sure, it worked.
The league has changed. The climate has changed. There's way more money in Liga MX than there was even 5 years ago. Suddenly, the academy here at Club Tijuana, the fruits of the labor aren't exactly there as much, and I think that might be an understatement. Bringing a guy like Oscar Pareja in with his reputation and what he's all about as far as the youth development side
Yeah,
of
it's
things.
something he touched on in the conference.
I
He
mean,
was
it's
like,
something that's a cornerstone of who he is as a coach.
Yeah.
It's a cornerstone of who he is as a football mind. And so that's what Xolos need to really reinstill some hope in that. Because I think in addition to these fans wanting to see a winner, I think when you saw Nava score that goal against Morelia, that's a guy who has a Sin Fronteras background. He has a Northern California connection. He has a Tijuana connection.
He used to play here
from his late teens when he came down here as a 15, 16-year-old. I mean, to me, that's like he has connections to where I'm from and where I live and work now. He's got connections to Northern California and connections here. I call that goal. He's 19 years old. I'm losing my mind. That thing meant something to me, you know? No, I think more Xolos fans want to see stories like Nava, and I think having a manager like Pareja is going to cultivate more of those.
Were you a fan of Pareja before he came to Xolos? Because there were some rumors that he was going to be the coach for the U.S. men's national team, but there were only rumors. But he's famous in the MLS. He's like one of the best coaches in the MLS.
He had a very good playing career as well with the old Dallas Burn, now FC Dallas, and then he's been the Dallas Burn back from MLS. All right. Yeah, man, those MLS team names back in the 90s, man, they were something. He's been, whether it's the Burn or FC Dallas, Pareja has been a part of Dallas soccer for, 10, 15 years now, and in addition to that, he was really a coach who started to change a lot of culture around MLS and around MLS soccer, where all the things that we're talking about that we want to see him instill here, those were things that weren't all that common around Major League Soccer. And I think Pareja really started, I don't want to say started, but really helped push a trend in the right direction of people building from the ground up and really investing money, resources, and time and energy into to youth development. And that was with a team who, FC Dallas in 2016, I remember watching that team play, and I'm someone who's often been very critical of standard of play around MLS. I've watched the league.
Because I didn't watch them.
FC Dallas in 2016 was one of the best teams to watch that I've ever seen in MLS in the 22-year history now of that league. They played a global brand. They played a brand akin to what we're seeing with Tata Martino in Atlanta, that's drawn Tata Martino to the Mexican national team and made Tata back into a household name after he came back from Barca and building it back up in MLS. No, so I think Oscar Pareja was someone who his style of football was something that very much caught my eye, and it caught my eye, I'm not going to lie, got my eye first off as a U.S. men's national team supporter. I wanted Oscar Pareja.
You wanted him as a coach for the team.
I wanted Oscar Pareja as a coach for the U.S. men's national team when Jurgen Klinsmann was fired. Instead, Bruce Arena was brought back, and we all know how that went. And the disgrace of missing out on Russia. Look, Oscar
could have done something.
Oscar Pareja, I could have done something. You could have done something. I mean, anybody could have done something. I'm not going to start crying about Yogi Bear waiting up against a bus stop, Bruce Arena, man. What are you doing? No, I wanted Oscar Pareja in that role. And with the way that things all worked out here in 2018, it started being rumored that he was going to be brought in for an interview. They were actually going to interview someone, unlike actually what really happened, which was they always had it designed to bring Greg Berhalter in. They actually interviewed Oscar Pareja. Oscar verified that. He said that he was interviewed. He was honored to be a part of the process. I think Oscar knew full and well that it was a token gesture.
Yeah, it was more we need to interview somebody.
We need to interview somebody else so they can't say that Greg Berhalter just had the job all along. So they did so. I thought he was very diplomatic in the press conference when I asked him about it. I said, hey, very diplomatic, but he said...
he was like, I'd rather not be looking at what the neighbor is doing and focus on, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, maybe.
Well, I think it was also something interesting, and seeing the look on Nacho Paloa and Jorge Alberto Hank, when... Oscar said something, which is something that I think any coach would say, where he on that topic of the U.S. men's national team, I think this was to the question that I asked her, he said, hey, it's always been a dream to manage the U.S. men's national team, and all of this transparency here, it still very much is a dream. And I think that's okay to say. And I don't think there was, sometimes in those situations...
It's what is he doing?
Well, the guy, if I'm Jorge Alberto, I'm the guy who just hired you. Maybe I don't want to hear you say that you're still dreaming about that.
You still want to leave for something.
I don't think that was at all what it was. I think it was clear of, hey, I'm here on a 2-year deal. I might be here even longer. Who knows how these things work out, but I'm dedicated to this job. It was an honor to be a part of the U.S. men's national team process. However real that was, but he's here.
And he's realer than the people that didn't get the interview.
Right. It was Tata Martino who said, they said that Tata had gotten interviewed, and Tata finally had to say, no, I didn't. It was the most hilarious verification of a story ever, where somebody finally got a hold of Tata, and he goes, No,
No,
they never called me.
not true.
No, yeah, they didn't slide into the DMs. They didn't call me. Yeah.
I don't wish him well. I don't wish the U.S. men's national team well. So
Come on, man. Give me a little
Don't
bit.
take Pareja
Dude,
anywhere.
dude.
He's
Right,
here
right,
with
right.
the Xolos.
I like
mean,
that the Xolos, they don't improvise. They usually do everything very, very systematic. So this guy here is going to bring a whole new vibe and winning mentality to next season. So this guy is going to interview him right now, right?
yeah.
So how long is our interview right now?
Right now we're at 20
I
minutes.
think we're good to go.
I think we're good.
I don't want him to miss the interview.
Nate's gonna
Yeah,
go.
I'm hanging out. We can close it out. I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to,
No,
to ask
we're
about?
just-
Everyone else is getting set
I
up
want
down there.
One
Yeah.
more thing to ask you. What's your favorite soccer team? Worldwide, and then U.S. and then Mexico.
Ooh.
And then player of the Xolos.
Ooh, this is fun. A little rapid fire. I like this. Close this thing out right. Exactly. I have been a supporter of Liverpool Football Club since I was 4 years old.
Great,
and
great.
it is one hell of a time to be a Liverpool supporter right now. For any of
For
you
the coach.
watching, listening, talk about lovable football managers. How can you not love
Oh.
Jurgen Klopp?
Dude.
You see that reaction, you see the passion of Jurgen Klopp. That's a guy who you want to play for.
Dude,
you
he's
see
the
that, you
best
go,
coach.
I want to put on my boots. I want to go play for that guy right now.
So passionate.
It's the passion,
He
it's
was
the
Borussia's
love.
coach, right? Yeah, he was Borussia's
he was
coach.
Dortmund's coach
And
for
then
quite a
he
while,
came to
and
Liverpool.
then came to Liverpool. And so it's a good time to be a Liverpool fan. Last line on Liverpool. It's funny. This is the best start to a Premier League or just first division top flight English season that Liverpool have had in their 126-year history, and they're in second place.
Wow.
And they might this year. I talked about this with some
City's
friends
playing
recently.
good, bro.
They might go undefeated this year.
And
Liverpool could very
Nice.
well match the Invincibles of Arsenal and not win the title. Could you imagine
Whoa.
that? Could you imagine that? How heartbreaking that would be?
That doesn't happen
Oh.
here, man.
Come
Only
on,
at the
man.
Premier- only at the
Come
Premier
on,
League.
man. So there you go. There's I am a boyhood Liverpool supporter, all about the
That's
mighty
worldwide.
Reds of Liverpool.
Steven Gerrard.
Oh, Stevie G.
Yes.
That's the worldwide one.
Where are we going next?
US.
US.
Seattle
MLS.
Saunders.
Grew up actually in very close proximity. Talk about old MLS names. The original San Jose Clash
Oh, wow.
of the MLS, and then
Wow,
who
one of the
became
first teams.
the San
One
Jose
of-
Earthquakes.
One of the first like 4 teams in the
Like a
MLS.
hockey team.
Oh, it was well. Any fans of the Clash, the band, they loved the old
The
San
name,
Jose
yeah.
Clash jerseys and everything that went with it. Eric Winalda was one of my first favorite players, and talk about a guy who has some very interesting connections with Football Mexicano, being one of those gringo. I think Winalda, what I always loved about Winalda, and I think kind of the influence he gave me was seeing a gringo who earned respect from the Mexicans by kind of
Yeah.
getting under the Mexican skin first, by going in and saying, hey, I can play your game.
He was the first doing it, right?
He became friends with Luis Hernandez,
Yeah.
with Beto Garcia Aspe, with the names of that generation, dudes who weren't afraid to throw a punch and throw a
No,
kick.
and it was old school rules with the
Right,
elbows and the pulling.
Nah,
and-
man, and I remember watching as a little kid, watching Waldo go into those games and seeing him after the game when some people kind of walk their separate ways, and seeing Waldo go and trade shirts with the Mexican player after every time, seeing every Mexican player come up and give him love. Maybe not everyone. I think there were a
Yeah.
few games where a few people wanted to kill him, but for the
course.
most part, it was all love. So no, San Jose Clash / Earthquakes with
went OG, baby. You
with
went
a
OG.
big shout out to Eric Winalda. Yeah.
Sure.
Nice.
For the U.S. men's national team, what's your all-time favorite player? Like, for example, you ask me, I would say Donovan because he fucked us at 2002.
Okay.
Killed it. So, what about you?
I mean, Eric Winalda's right up there on the top of the list, but there's a few that come to mind. I always have love for Landon. I got mad love for Brian McBride. You talk about John Jew 2002, man. Sorry, you went for the second goal for the 2-0. The first
But
goal
the first one was
first goal that
more difficult.
McBride
Exactly.
scored. Claudio Reyna, Josh Wolf,
Exactly.
Brian McBride, Pasconejo Perez,
There's
1-0.
no need for you to remind us
Sorry,
that, brother.
Hey,
Not the play-by-play,
It's all
okay?
I have. That's the thing. Is like after the
the only
U.S.
thing you
missed
can
the
hold
World
on
Cup,
to.
me and Tony talked about this a few times during the season, where I would start reminiscing about South Korea 2002. He's like, "Hey, man, you don't got to go in such great detail." I said, "It's all I have, man. I didn't have a summer that you had. You got
Yeah.
to beat Germany 1-0 and make new South Korean friends. I got nothing, man. I got absolutely nothing. So all I got is
that.
2002.
True
So
that.
cheers
Okay.
to Brian McBride. We'll go with.
Yeah, Brian McBride is a good choice.
I got Donovan because I used to get bullied being called Donovan. I used to give classes at like this high school.
Yeah.
And we used to play soccer in between the recess and everything, and they would call me Donovan because of my bald spot.
Okay.
It would be like, hey, viene el profe Donovan, y el Donovan, y yo así como que, oh, these motherfuckers.
Well, I get called APG quite often. I get called André Pierre wherever I go. And if this is a soy francés, soy el primo de Gignac. If this is a language friendly podcast, I have a quick story to tell. I think you guys will appreciate.
Sure.
So I started coming to Xolos games in 2016. I made myself a fixture in the parking lot here at Estadio Caliente. Met many a good folks in Xololandia out a few steps out there. Many a great meals and beverages were had. And throughout all of that time, for the first year and a half that I was coming to games here, some of it as a commentator, some as a writer, everybody would see me out in the parking lot and they would all shout the same thing. Hey, Gignac! Hey! And it would turn back with a little laugh. Somebody would flip somebody off. Somebody would crack open a cold tecate. Somebody would make me a taco, hand me a plate. We'd laugh, and that was the end of the story. That went on.
You weren't kidding. They were actually calling you Gignac.
They would call me Gignac.
But it was followed by
some love, and this whole kind of routine that I was
like,
used to.
yeah.
When Tigres knocked Xolos out of the playoffs in 2017, I was a little bit worried. It was still love. It was still es el primo de Gignac, you know. So I'm in Ciudad de Mexico in September of 2017. That's the story I was telling you about. And I'm in the Condesa on a Friday night at a cool spot, really nice bar, good. That nice in-between, like not too clubby, but not too divey, just that perfect Friday night bar. And some drunk dudes in the corner, they shout out to me. I hear them go, hey, Gignac! And I'm used to what I've experienced for 18 months in
It's
Tijuana,
like,
which is
normal.
People yelling Gignac to me. I turn back, I wave, they flip me off, they laugh, and that's that. And we have a beer and we move on. So these guys, they go, hey, Gignac! I turn around, I say, hey, and I give him a wave, and the drunkest dude of all hops up almost like out of his seat, still at his table, kind of like puts his elbows on his table, and he goes, Chinga tu madre, pendejo! And it just hit me like what time period this was. This is right after the America Tigres final when Gignac and Gignac and La Volpe went at it. And no, Gignac was public enemy number one for the Tigres fans. So I turned back thinking it's all love. All my doppelgangers got me another free drink. No, these three dudes. And then I had to tell them. I had to scream to them.
It's not me.
Yo no soy Gignac. Soy Abaurrea. Soy Vasco. Soy Gringo. Yeah, soy de Tijuana. You know. So there you go. Yeah, thank you, APG, and but you got me in a little bit of trouble down in Mexico City.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's not Xololandia. Mexico City's serious. I mean, they're gonna be angry. They're gonna be pissed off, especially drunk after that. I mean,
drunk chilangos and you looking like Gignac is not a good.
It was not a good combo. Not a good combo. Not a good combo.
So
but once he realized that I wasn't Gignac, he actually wasn't a mean dude. But in his head, he really thought I was.
he was like, "This is my opportunity.
This is my opportunity
to fuck this guy up.
Get Gignac because he's out on a Friday night in the Condesa."
And the last one was favorite player from Xolos.
All time.
All time?
All time, yeah.
Ooh, I mean, this is here. I have to give a very quick two-part answer because the person who I feel the most connected to in Xolos history is Giovanni Corona.
Okay.
He's a guy who scored the first top-flight goal for Los Xolos Quintles. Like, every goal that gets scored in Liga MX by a Xolos player, that they add themselves to that list. That list started, and this is a stat that can never change. This is one of those etched in stone. You got the landmark goal, and for the landmark goal to be scored by a dude who embodies everything that we were talking about at the beginning of this podcast and what Sin Fronteras is, what this Xolos brand is, what San Diego Tijuana hybrid is, what bilingualism means, what, you know, being against all these different things that we have to deal with here in Tijuana and all of these stigmas, all these stereotypes, and breaking all of these things down. Having a guy who embodies all of that be the one who scores the first goal, that's a special, special thing. And I got mad love for Giovanni Corona. Piojo wanted him at America. I don't know if he's going to get to play in these semifinals or into the final. I hope he finds a way onto the pitch, but I also hope he finds a way back here to...
we miss you, Corona.
We miss you, buddy.
I'm missing Giovanni. His family's still here. I'm still in touch with his family. I'm watching games with his family, and I'm talking to his family, going, hey, but like, where's your boy? Get him back here, man.
He's doing good in America, too.
He is doing good in America.
Team,
I got mad love for you, Joe. I know you are a big fan of the XOLOCAST, so cheers to you. Cheers to you, Joe Benny Corona. And no, that's always the player since I've come down here that I've connected the most with. And Joe also was just so great in terms of giving access to someone like myself who was new to the press pool here. And when he came back at the beginning of the 2017 year and he scored on that first game back against Puebla and that 6-2 win, and that's the goal call I've had pinned to my Twitter ever since with the Joe Corona.
Yeah.
It was
it's your buddy, too.
so hyped,
great,
man. It was a beautiful thing. So Joe Benny Corona. No two-part answer.
That's it.
Joe Benny Corona, favorite Xolo.
Hands down. Pretty good.
I like that answer because I thought you were going to say Gandolfi or somebody more emblematic, but Joe Corona is really...
No, Joe Corona is an amazing player for Xolos.
He was like the first bilingual player that everybody knew. He was like speaking English and Spanish. So yeah, it's a great example.
Absolutely.
Nate, well, we're gonna finish. We're gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much again for.
Of course.
Nate, where can the people from XOLOCAST find you?
On Instagram, slide into the DMs. Same way these two dudes did right here. At Nate Abaurrea. I'll probably have to give a Basque language lesson now.
Sure.
This is my two-part right here. Yeah. Abaurrea. Abaurrea. That is Basque. You can look up your Basque history. Run with the Bulls.
It'll be in the comments.
It'll be in there. Don't worry. No, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Nate Abaurrea, and keep it tuned to More FM, Mexican Radio 98.9 here in Tijuana and in San Diego, 106.7 for everybody out in Eastern Baja. Doing not only Xolo stuff with More FM, but also you've heard the Mexican Radio soccer minutes that have been playing, keeping everybody up to date on what's going on in the Liguilla. We wish Xolos were in the Liguilla, but
yeah, we do.
We still enjoy it though. We are still enjoying this thing.
So and it happens. I mean, we can never win. We can't win all the time. So it's part of it.
Who do you have winning, by the way? I'm going to get out here asking you guys a question.
Okay, I want the final to be America Cruz Azul again.
I want that. I want the rematch of 2013.
And
I think that's going to be the final.
Dude, and I want America to beat them again, bro, because I
want
like
it again? You don't want them to finish the La Maldición?
Heartbroken, dude.
You want it to be forever.
To be the Red Sox forever.
The bad luck charm forever. I don't know. I wanted them to overcome because my brother has always been a Cruz Azul fan. Yeah. I know he's still heartbroken, even though he's not a Cruz Azul fan anymore.
Yeah, but he.
But I know it hurts, and I always like that overcoming story.
And don't forget about.
And I've never liked the America. So
dark horse.
Monterrey's the team that nobody wants to talk about. Everyone's getting so caught up. I've been focusing on having the Tres Grandes back, having Mexico City back in the limelight. It's been such a cool story. And all the while you got Rayados going. We just knocked out the defending champion, dominated Santos, beat Cruz Azul 1-0 in the first leg.
So what's going on here?
Haven't allowed a goal in 3 Liguilla games. I mean, Rayados I think are fine with the way that everyone's approaching this. They're like, fine, don't talk about us.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in the final.
We'll see you in the final, yeah. So I still got Cruz Azul winning it all. I said at the beginning of the year, they're breaking the curse. This is the year, and I'm probably going to fall flat on my face. So you can hit me up at Nate Abaurrea and just absolutely roast me for this pick that'll inevitably fall short.
Sure, buddy. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rafa Alex. I appreciate it, man.
See you next week, brother. Bye-bye.
Peace.